Saying a piece of media has heart can be interpreted in different ways, but without a doubt, Indivisible has heart. Or rather, Indivisible displays a clear passion that bleeds into so many aspects of the game. The gorgeous hand-drawn animation, lovely music, and vibrant characters all carry the same enthusiastic energy. Yet even with so many strengths, the game struggles at times in one way or another.
Don't underestimate me!
For the most part, Indivisible splits up its gameplay in two ways: Metroidvania exploration and Valkyrie profile-influenced combat. During a fight, each of your characters is mapped to a button, and pressing that button initiates an attack. There are a lot of details that go into having a strong offense, but the general idea is to effectively coordinate character attacks to create lengthy combos and pummel opponents. Defense is similarly active. While it's possible to simply hold down the block button in anticipation, doing so drains a gauge used for powerful super moves. The better approach is to time blocks just as an enemy attacks, which is not only more efficient, but also heals the character when done successfully. Indivisible provides plenty of incentive to get to know both characters and opponents thoroughly, making sure that combat is about understanding the mechanics in play as well as executing those mechanics proficiently. Part of what can make combat such a joy is the creativity found among the characters themselves. It's surprising how distinct so much of the roster feels, despite its large size. Even characters in the most basic and expected roles have plenty of spice. The awesome warrior Phoebe can launch enemies and then grab them in the air, slamming them down like a fearsome professional wrestler. Meanwhile, Ginseng and Honey are a duo acquired early on who are most useful as healers, and the way in which healing is accomplished is clever without being overly complex. Ginseng can just splash the party with a potion, but it's better to increase the potency of the potion by building it up with basic attacks first. Even their basic attack has its own charm, as Ginseng whips out a mortar and pestle that are just as big as she is. These are only minor examples of the qualities and quirks found with Indivisible's characters. Combat tests you by presenting specific hurdles, such as shields that must be broken with a certain combination of attacks, or enemies that can only be damaged while in the air. Boss fights are particularly creative, even breaking out of normal combat to have you dodge attacks or navigate through obstacles. For all of the ingenuity that Indivisible shows, though, the game largely runs out of steam well before the end. You reach a point when it feels like you've seen many of the tricks the game has come up with, leading to a sensation where the once demanding combat becomes trivial, like you've cracked the code. It's pretty easy to find a party combination that can blow through anything thrown your way, hurting the drive to continually experiment with a great cast. What remains more consistent is the platforming. Environments aren't just attractive backdrops, but instead serve as true gauntlets. Over time, you acquire all sorts of moves that let you get through these mazes, such as being able to dash through walls, use a spear to bounce off spikes, and so on. Indivisible does an excellent job of both slowly introducing these abilities and layering them on top of each other. Ring souls, collectible gems that upgrade your offense and defense, are peppered throughout areas as well, making exploration all the sweeter. By having these collectibles be a major way your character gets stronger, it avoids a lot of constant menu navigation that dominates so many RPGs, and keeps the focus on the action, greatly helping the game's momentum. A downside of the obstacle course design of the world, though, is that it can make hunting for secrets or side activities a bit too much of a chore when returning to areas already visited. The storytelling is very mixed, with a premise that's about as standard as it gets. A world-threatening evil must be put down by heroes who find greater strength in one another. Although the ideas Indivisible has in play are well-worn, it helps that the game never takes itself too seriously, always willing to throw in humor whenever it can. The game's levity is exemplified by its lead character, Ajna, who's bursting with optimism and confidence, making her easy to like. Unfortunately, the script doesn't always know how to best utilize its characters, and they often feel a little one-note. Razmi, a shamaness, has a penchant for gross things and snarky comments, which is enjoyable at first, but it gets predictable. More distracting, however, is the abruptness of certain events. Sometimes solutions feel far too convenient, and there's a lack of build-up before key moments, creating the sensation that too much is happening too quickly. The story absolutely does have its moments, though, particularly later on, when characters have to take responsibility for their actions in a way that's convincing and helps give the later portions of the game some emotional heft.
I'll have you know, young man, that thing ate my entire crew. I won't have you making jokes.
It's easy to go into detail about Indivisible's shortcomings, but they don't take away from a quality that's more difficult to articulate. Spending even a short amount of time with the game shows how much love and care went into its construction. There are plenty of times when the detail in a completely incidental room will catch you off guard, which speaks to the overall commitment to the game's presentation, including the grand and varied soundtrack. It's clear that several aspects could have been much tighter, but there's more than enough in its favor to make Indivisible worth serious consideration.
I'll bury you. It's over!
Easy Allies reviews are made possible by generous viewers just like you. If you like what you see, check out patreon.com/easyallies to help us make more. For just $1 a month, you can gain access to weekly updates, spoiler discussions, and exclusive shows.
Break with fear! Seismic!